Hey everybody, welcome back. Talking again about the situation with Russia and Ukraine and all the protests and all the so-called sanctions and this and that and the other. I don't like to go down the road of politics too much, but there's so many questions about it and so many interesting points, especially where it looks at the philosophy of people and how they act and how they react and how they get directed to react. Before I get flying here, I wanted to give a shout out to Hugo and to Ramona. Thank you very much for reaching out to the channel and helping out. It means a lot. Ramona particularly, that will definitely go towards pet food. Anyways, back to the point. Something I'm seeing in the news a lot is a lot of protesting in Russia right now because they don't want to be in a war. And everybody's like, oh, will the protesting stop Russia from their invasion of Ukraine? No, of course it won't. What are you thinking? Here's your challenge question of the day. Demonstrate for me in the comment section, please, because off the top of my head, I cannot think of an example anywhere in history where a country that was at war had its people protesting and the government listened. I'll wait. I can't think of an example. Can you? Who remembers the whole world is watching? Anybody old enough to remember that phrasing? Look it up. The whole world is watching. It was a chant that was being chanted by people at the Democratic National Convention in the 60s, late 60s, right? I can't remember the exact date. For what, 3 solid days while they were beaten and dragged away by police protesting the Vietnam War? And they were chanting the whole world is watching because the whole world was. There was media from all over the globe filming that. Did it stop the Vietnam War? Did any of the protesting stop it? Did any of the protesting in any war stop the war? No. Russian people protesting is not going to stop the war. And as far as the sanctions are hurting them more than anybody. I saw on the news this morning, Italy bragging that they seized a yacht from a Russian oligarch. Oh, we seized his yacht. Great. That'll hurt the war effort. You stole a rich guy's boat, okay? And you did steal it, all right? You did not sanction their boat. You stole a boat from some guy that doesn't know what's going on. Visa and MasterCard cutting off people overseas. I know a guy. We know a guy we watch who has he does online Bible study, and they have a connection in Russia. Can't send them funds to help them out with feeding people out there. They do like a pantry or whatever. Can't send them funding, but that'll stop the war effort. Mm-hmm. That's really hurting the war machine because you can't send money to a church in Russia. Does that make any sense? All of these sanctions are doing is hurting the Russian people. And are they protesting? Of course they're going to protest. They don't want a war and they don't want the sanctions. The sanctions are hurting them, not the Russian government. It's hurting them. And they don't want a war because they're the ones that got to fight it. That's why everybody doesn't want a war. Why do you think they have drafts? Why do you think they conscript people into military service? We don't have a draft in the U.S. officially anymore, if I'm not mistaken, but watch, one signature will turn that back on if they ever need it. That's all it takes. Executive order, draft, and you're screwed. That's what happens. The war is hardly ever by or for the people. And I want to emphasize on the term oligarch because all of these rich and or wealthy and or influential Russians are oligarchs all of a sudden. Well, if they're oligarchs, so are the rich people in the West. Bill Gates is an oligarch. Oprah Winfrey is an oligarch.
What's an oligarch? What does that word mean?
A politically, an oligarchy is where wealthy elites control society.
Oh.
Or influence society, to just break it down to the simplest form.
Kim Kardashian?
I guess. You know what I mean?
And all her sisters.
Yeah, you could argue that LeBron James is an oligarch. He's extremely wealthy and he gets over on society and does whatever the hell he wants and tries to influence people, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But we don't call him that here. We don't call them that here.
We just call them the rich.
Yeah.
Or the elite.
The elite.
Yeah.
You could still tie that together. So if there are oligarchs there, there are oligarchs here too. But they throw that term on them because they want to make them the enemy. And you've got to be careful with that. We cannot turn the Russian people into the enemy. The Russian people are not the ones doing this. It's the Russian government. They don't want any part of it any more than we do. But that's what other governments do. They like to paint that picture of the people being the evil ones. You know, why do you think overseas they hate us? They hate America in most other countries. You've been overseas outside of the tourist traps? When you take a cruise, you go on a Carnival cruise ship, everywhere that ship docks, they own that, and they want you to stay there. Because if you go outside of that, it can get dangerous because you're American or because you're from Western Europe or some other first world country, as they say. It can get dangerous. And that's because a picture has been painted for them by their governments and by their society that we're evil. And the reason for that is because something that our government or some other Western government may have done doesn't necessarily reflect the impressions of the people. And it's important to keep that in mind, that the average Russian citizen isn't necessarily our enemy, even though there are some who are probably behind whatever's going on. There's all walks of life. I'm willing to bet most of them are not. So we're taking it out on athletes. Athletes can't go places. They're asking questions about the cosmonauts, the Russian astronauts. What the hell did they do?
They're not even on Earth.
Yeah, they're not even on Earth. They're probably better off. It's ridiculous, but are protests going to stop the war? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something in history. Not that they teach it anymore.
Not that they teach you the truth about history.
No, but I can't think of an example where protesting changed anything, especially peaceful protests. You know, they always want you to do a peaceful protest. You know why? Because they can either ignore you or mop you up easy enough if they have to. That's why they want you to be peaceful when you protest, because then you're not a threat. The only time I can think of a peaceful protest that works, if you're talking about Gandhi or Martin Luther King, because they hurt the system where it counts.
Yeah.
Right in the wallet.
They hit the government themselves, and they had to change.
By not paying into that system. Oh, you're not going to let us sit where we want to on the bus? We won't ride it at all.
Yeah.
It took a couple of years.
It took about 2.
They bankrupted that system, and they had to give up.
And when they did the sanitation strikes.
Yeah.
And trash wasn't picked up. I think it was in Alabama.
And they've done that in New York plenty of times too. When it gets 20 feet high out in the curb, okay, whatever you want, we're done.
Just go pick the trash up.
Please just go pick up the trash. Or Gandhi. Gandhi bankrupted the whole country. I mean, seriously, they shut down everything. Nobody went to work. Nothing was working. Watch the movie. The movie's pretty close.
The Gandhi movie, we saw that.
It's a good movie.
Good.
It's a good movie. But he bankrupted the system. But they were peaceful.
Yeah. So not buying vodka is not hurting Putin. He don't have a still in his backyard, I don't think.
Yeah, less than 1% of the vodka in the United States from Russia anyway. And then they're just now considering blocking the oil because Shell gets their oil from Russia. They say 1%. It's actually closer to 10% of the U.S. Oil consumption, from what I've read, is coming from that part of the world. But they're getting on Shell for buying Russian oil, and Russia says, and Shell's trying to do damage control by saying, "Oh, but we're going to send some money to Ukraine relief." Yeah, you mean like Haitian relief? Where's that money?
Bill Clinton got it in his pocket.
$5+ billion that was misappropriated. You don't know if that money's ever going to end up anywhere useful. Anyway, I know I went on my little rant, but some of the stuff needs to be said. And if you have any thoughts about it, please feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you get where I'm coming from. You don't have to agree, and that's cool. And if you don't, then please do make a point. Don't just say I'm an asshole. I already know that. I don't need your help. Share it if you can. Probably the only way it'll get seen, because the powers that be hate me. Subscribe if you're new. Check out some of the other videos if you haven't. If you wanted to help the channel, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps, and I sure do appreciate it. If you're new and you're curious about the cat images or dog images that I put up, stuff like that, it's strays that we take care of, that I pick up here and there and help out. And the photographs and the little film clips actually do help with the loading algorithm on YouTube. I've gone from damn near 8 hours to get a video loaded to under 10 minutes now. So it does work. And if that's it, then what more can I say? But stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.